Hello and welcome to episode 107, Satellite Connectivity Simplified, a deep dive into Satcube's portable SATCOM solutions. We have discussed SATCOM solutions in detail on this podcast, but never really took a deep dive into the terminal side. Even the ground station is something we haven't really discussed, but I think this episode will serve as a benchmark to start discuss about the terminals and the ground station as well altogether. Without any delay, I would like to welcome on this episode Mr. Robert Melberg. Hi, Robert. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Robert, for your precious time. Before we take a deep dive into this episode, which is filled with very much excitement, especially for me because I have always believed that ground station is and the ground terminals is something that people don't really speak much about these topics, but need to be spoken really a lot as compared to the kind of emergence that we are seeing in the mobility sector, especially. Before we take a deep dive into the topic, can you briefly tell us about yourself and how did you end up what you're doing at the moment in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, Satcube is a privately held company. We started as a product company 2016, launched Satcube KU. We are, as I said, privately held with a few angel investors. We are to almost half of it owned by the personnel, based in Sweden with production in Sweden. And right now, of course, we see this big disruptive time of the satellite industry. So, what we are doing right now is to see how do we fit as a company and services for the future communications need for our clients.
Interesting. And to start with the basic question: what inspired the creation of SatCube's portable SATCOM solutions, and how does it differ from traditional satellite communication systems? I'm asking this basic question because there are a lot of people from the defense industry, from even aviation, maritime sector, who are new to the satcom solutions but have not been so much familiar but are trying to get hold of the solutions in terms of maybe procurement or maybe purchasing the solutions. So can you tell us briefly about this?
Yeah, I mean, Jacob Kalmer, the founder of Satcube, he worked for another Swedish satellite company coming from Sweden. So he's been having time experience from the industry. And what we learned is that many of these systems have always been a bit clunky. It's heavyweight. It takes an engineer to set them up and get the connectivity done. It's been very low software. The level of the software has been low. So I think the inspiration to Jacob was that when we saw the epic HTS satellites coming up from Intelsat and other satellite operators, he saw an opportunity to create a very strong, portable, small-sized terminal that could give broadband connectivity at the halt. So it came from this shift from wide beam satellites to HTS satellites for GEO satellites. Then he saw kind of this as a gap in the market. So basically making a BGAN on steroids. That was how it was invented.
Interesting. That's a cool thing that you mentioned. Can you explain also the key features of SatCube's Q terminal and how it simplifies connectivity in remote or challenging environments? Because I believe the way you mentioned at the moment that traditional stations or the terminals are quite heavy to carry, and I believe the kind of products that you have will be very much useful in the remote ecosystem, especially in the challenging environments as well, even in the disaster management related stuff as well. So can you tell us briefly about its key features and how it stand out in the market with its unique USP?
And what we see as the key features is that it should be, we always been saying it should be kind of iPhone simple as using an iPhone. So when you are in severe areas or difficult circumstances like weather catastrophes or people are stressed in the field, people are always stressed and under pressure of time. So the idea with the user interface for the Satcube terminal was to help the user to do a few things to get connected. So basically, you set elevation, polarization, azimuth, and bam, then you should be online. So that should take you 1 to 2 minutes before you have a broadband connection. So that is one of the features. Another one is, of course, that it can stand With IP67 standard, it can be underwater, so it's weatherproof, and it can stand up to 55 plus degrees Celsius and to minus 30 degrees. So it can take kind of serious weather conditions. And this is also, of course, important as we now live in a world with more and more catastrophes in regards to the climate change.
Interesting. I believe,
So
yeah,
that's another thing. And the third thing is that it should be easy to carry on. So it's just 8 kilos. So if I summarize it, it should be a very uh, easy to carry on and to carry on in a backpack, portable terminal that you in a few 1 to 2 minutes can get online and get the connectivity. And that is in a nutshell what we're offering. So that has been the challenge all the time to, and now the last few years we have been developing the software to refine the user experience, just when you're going to connect to the satellite, to the right satellite.
interesting. That's absolutely amazing. You mentioned 8 kgs. I think it's going to keep our audience quite on the edge now to start getting traffic on your website, because I believe there are people, who are adventurous, sports, into the sports, hiking. I think those people also require this connectivity, because I see a lot of my friends here in France as well, going for this kind of stuff. And when they're on the remote side, I think right now there is a Starlink and all few of these things are available, partly not everywhere, but at least at some places. And I think with your such products also coming into the play, I believe a lot of people are going to, I think, have this advantage, where there was no connectivity, they'll have a connectivity wherever they go now at the moment with such portable terminals. And to little bit go ahead and moving from, I would say, commercial and civil part, how does the ease of use and compact design of Satcube impact mission critical operations for users like uh, the military, media, or humanitarian organizations, especially from the perspective of, as I mentioned, the use and compact design of your terminal that is there at the moment? How does it basically make it more comfortable or brings more ease in operations for especially the military and other humanitarian organizations?
Yeah, when it's coming to mission critical communications, one key is security and control and management over the terminals. So we can see that governmental users are very interested in having control over their terminals. And therefore, we tend now with the trend when Starlink is taking a lot of market shares everywhere, that we have to see what client groups can we really make a difference. So we cannot compete with the private offer to kind of hikers in all over the world. They will go for Starlink, but we will focus on governmental users where you have to have security and control over a private network or just a kind of a fleet of set cubes to be coordinated. So we are very much in this kind of emerging satellite market for consumers. We tend to go all the way business to business. We're not selling to the consumer space or at all, I would say.
That's interesting to know. I think that's a well point to note in the global market where a player like Starlink is existing. So you're trying to find the unique gaps in the market where you can fill it up on from starting from local to regional level. That's a great takeaway, I would say. And from other perspective, Satcube offers high speed connectivity in GPS denied environments. How does this technology function, and what real world scenarios benefit most from it, from your perspective?
uh, what we see right now in conflict areas or zones all over the world, the GPS is taken out. So many times the government and the people in the field must be able to operate communications and logistics and everything without GPS. And what we then do is that we can put in manual coordinates. So we can connect between the satellite and the terminal. And this manual coordinations make it possible to not be so vulnerable to GPS denied environments. And we can see that for the LEO constellations, then the GPS and the clock is more important because you have to understand, the system must understand all the time which satellites they're going to connect on. So the GPS is more critical here and the clock in the system. There is ways to overcome this as well with LEO system, but that's coming with a relevant cost and extra equipment, so to say.
That's quite interesting. And I'm coming again to the point of, I would say, challenges and design. What are some common challenges users face with SATCOM, or in general, I would like to mention satellite communications, and how does your company's user-friendly design address those issues? Like it can be anything. Maybe as you mentioned, carrying a heavy instrument earlier was a very kind of a hefty job, but right now it's just 8 kgs. Anyone can carry it in their backpack. So similar kind of things. Can you address it more in an extended manner?
If we're gonna see, the big picture is like this: that the new Starlink Roam terminals are 2 kilos, so it's basically like a router that you place everywhere. So the rest of the industry, all of the companies, both the satellite operators in geo, the terminal manufacturing firms, the modem firms, everyone must look into how can you create something that is as good as Starlink, because they are the new benchmark.
Okay.
Uh, so it's always about not having helping the user to get connected in minimal time, take down weight, and make more powerful terminals, giving high speeds and better connectivity.
Interesting. That's interesting to know. Like the SpaceX is the new benchmark when it comes to users friendly and design. And I would say we are at the final part of the podcast. So from the futuristic perspective, I would say the steering is in your hands, so you can answer the question the way you feel. So looking into the future, how do you see portable satcom technology evolving, and what role does Satcube plans to play in this advancement going into the future? It can be both in terms of business expansion, or in terms of developing your technology, or even venturing out with new products in your company. So yeah, please feel free to answer it from your perspective.
One trend that we're looking into a lot right now is satellite to phone. That is one trend we're looking at right now, because we think that's an interesting field to analyze. Apart from that, we look, of course, at the future of phased arrays. What do they look like? Can this technology be good for other constellations than Starlink and upcoming Kuiper? So the phased array development and the efficiency in the chipsets is of very great importance to see what kind of portable terminals can be produced in the future. And from on the on more to come is also to see, to look and develop more efficient antenna solutions, and also the weight of these solutions, so we can come up with future sets of set cubes with lower weight and perhaps even better form factor to be competitive with the new Leo giant companies. That is what the whole industry is looking for.
Interesting. That's those are really great insights, and I was looking forward to your company's this kind of insights, because I have been watch your company for long. But we really at a good stage on the podcast. We have an appreciable amount of audience. We've crossed 100 episodes, so that's the reason I thought it's now the right time to have you guys on board, and tell people, let them know about this kind of things. I mean, I know Starlink is there everywhere, but still there are several kind of gaps that your company is trying to fill at the moment. And I believe from a global perspective, the audience really needs to know that this kind of companies exist and are competing even in the global market, trying to find new verticals into the market as well. So yeah, thank you again, Robert, for your time and insights on the podcast. I'd be glad to have you again on the podcast in the future, maybe to see how your product developments and your plans to the future go into the Satcom solutions. So yeah, thank you very much again.
Thank you for having me, and yeah, glad to be on the show. And yeah, it's very interesting in this industry right now. So we are looking forward to 2025. Thank you.